Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Gabrielle Ray and I present cases of unsolved homicides, missing persons, and the unidentified. Today I'll be presenting the case of Josephine and Joyce Cogburn, who have been missing since October 2nd, 1983.
Joyce Cogburn and Josephine Cogburn have been missing since October 2nd, 1983 out of Norman, Oklahoma. Josephine was born on April 10th, 1967. She is a white female who stands at 5'1" and weighs 128 pounds with brown hair and blue eyes. Joyce was born on May 10th, 1968, and she is a white female who stood at 5'3", weighed 116 pounds with blonde hair and brown eyes. Josephine goes by her middle name Yvette, and her nickname is also Vet. And she has a tattoo on her foot near her toes of script lettering of the name Yvette and a swirl. Since Josephine was referred to as Yvette, I will also be referring to her as Yvette in this video.
Yvette was 16 at the time of her disappearance and Joyce was 15.
Their father was killed in an accident in 1968. And her aunt was also killed in the same accident in Mount Ida, Arkansas, when their sister Rosetta was 2. Yvette was also an infant, and Joyce had yet to be born. Their mother gave the two girls up to their paternal grandparents, and Rosetta went with her maternal grandmother. Rosetta also reunited in 1975 with the girls after her mother remarried.
Their mother made her second husband leave the home after allegations of molestation of the girls.
In 1983, they were having disciplinary problems at their home in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. They left and moved in with a family friend, which is referred to as only BJS in Norman, Oklahoma.
He was granted temporary custody of the girls, and then they disappeared.
There have been reports that they may have been involved in drugs at the time of their disappearance, but that was not a substantiated claim. Yvette and her sister were staying at the friend's home, and then he reported them missing on October 2nd.
He claimed that he was out that day and that they were supposed to go to the library, and when he came home, they were gone.
Nobody has ever heard from them since, and all their belongings were left behind at home, and investigators initially thought they ran away, but as time passed without seeing or hearing from them, they began to suspect that foul play was involved.
In mid-September of 1983, Yvette told Rosetta that Joyce was dating the family friend, and now Joyce had a new boyfriend and wanted nothing to do with her guardian.
The apartment that they stayed at with BJS was at 333 East Brooks Street, and their mother had been struggling as a single parent, attending nursing school and working. The family friend had actually offered to take the two girls. Their mother had met this friend while working as a bartender at Steele's Tavern Corner, but claimed to have known him for 13 years when the children were then introduced to him.
Rosetta was also asked to move in with him too, but she declined.
The girls were introduced to this man in 1981. She quit bartending and was going to school to be an LPN, and we were making it on Social Security payments, said Rosetta. When offered to live with this man, Rosetta was actually 17 and pregnant at the time. And he had claimed that they had both ran away from him. Her older sister, Rosetta, though, thought that the family friend had actually murdered them. I think that BJS killed them. When my daughter was born on September 15th, 1983, they made it down from Norman to Broken Bow, and my sister Vet spent the night at the hospital with me, and Joyce went to BJS's house. And Vet also told Rosetta of Joyce and BJS's ongoing relationship. I feel that BJS found out that Yvette told me something, and he got in a rage and killed both of them at the same time. They were killed because he got jealous that Joyce found a boyfriend and didn't want anything to do with him anymore, and because Vet told me something about what was going on, claimed Rosetta.
He has been interviewed several times by police and never ruled out as a suspect in their cases, but he is considered a person of interest.
Rosetta theorizes that both teens were killed by him in a jealous rage. He never returned the girls' belongings, such as clothes and photo albums, to the Cogburn family, even though they had asked him to several times.
There have been possible sightings of them since they vanished, and investigators think that they may still be alive, but no report has been confirmed. There has been one possible sighting as far as Arizona.
The last reported sighting of them was in January of 2004, when a woman from Maricopa County, Alabama, said that she recognized the girls' photos and saw them in 1984 to 1985 when they were students at Mesa High School. There have actually been several tips claiming to have seen the girls, but none have been substantiated. Neither of their birth certificates or social security numbers have been used since October of 1983, and the police suspect that foul play had a hand in their disappearances.
He now refuses to talk to the family and has been unwilling to take a polygraph test or return the girls' belongings to the family.
He relocated to a property 11 miles away from Broken Bow and is now deceased, and the apartment complex they were staying at is now demolished. Releasing his name could have been helpful because since the girls weren't in Norman for very long, nobody may have recognized them on a missing persons poster. But him, on the other hand, they may have been able to report if anyone saw anything suspicious having to do with him.
It wouldn't have been likely to make the connection if they didn't know that he was the last to be seen with them.
Rosetta had a dream that the girls were pleading for justice, saying, "Rosetta, get justice for us. Don't let our deaths be in vain." And in the dream, both girls are reaching out to her from an artesian well. She found out that from investigators that there was actually an artesian well on BJS's property in Broken Bow. "With God as my witness, I've never been out there in my life," said Rosetta.
Jerry Nance, Forensic Services Unit Supervisor with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, thinks that they may still be alive.
In most long-term cases, the higher percentage of children missing this length of time, if they are found, are usually found deceased. "My estimation is that less than 2% are found alive," said Mr. Nance. But he claims that they may actually fall in the 2% that are still alive. One or both may have been seen attending the old Central Junior High School, and it would be fair to say that both were enrolled in the Norman Public Schools at the time of their disappearance, said Captain Tom Easley.
When they didn't come back, he contacted some of their friends, and subsequently they contacted us, said Easley.
"One thing that popped up was the lack of anybody having seen them," said Easley, and classmates also told investigators that they hadn't seen them since 1983. None of their friends from school or the community saw them since either, and they left with only the clothes on their back, and that's another thing that causes police to think that there may have been more to this case than meets the eye, said Easley.
There was no indication that they packed a lunch or any personal belongings when they went missing, said Easley.
Nance's forensic unit consists of cold cases, long-term missing, and the unidentified human remains. Nan says that the police department did everything humanly possible to solve these cases.
We've had quite a few contacts concerning this case. It's kind of interesting. When we do get these reports, they are about both of them being seen together, said Nance.
Rosetta continues to seek answers into their disappearances. And Tom easily said that we have dental records of both girls, but we need to have something. There have been unidentified bodies that have turned up in the region over the years, but there has never been a match. The investigation of the girls' cases actually filled up a 3-inch binder plus another 1.5 inches of documents, according to Easley. And this investigation has been a dead end for the last 25 years, and police are very frustrated.
This is one of the older cases for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children because it happened before the center's opening in 1986.
What we need in this case is for somebody to come forward. Nothing happens in a vacuum. Articles and exposures of these cases are the only things that make any difference, says Nance. Unfortunately, now their mother is deceased.
Some web sleuthers believe that it may have been serial killer Royal Russell Long because of his MO of taking girls in pairs.
Royal Russell Long was a truck driver who worked at a local fair and carnivals. He died of a heart attack while serving 2 life sentences in prison. No one will ever know the true amount of victims or where they are. Today, Yvette would be 53 years old, and Joyce would be 52. And that is all the information that I have on the girls' disappearances. And I think it is fair to say that since it has been so many years since anybody has heard from them or seen them, that foul play may have had a hand in their disappearance. And the cops are on the right track as to what happened. Personally, I want to believe that they are alive, but since nobody has seen them or heard from them and their social security numbers haven't been used in any other states even or anywhere, really makes me think that something bad has happened to the girls. And I hate to say that, but unfortunately Rosetta thinks the same thing has happened as well. It has been 37 years since these girls have been heard from, and they were only teenagers at the time. Somebody out there knows something, and unfortunately, since one of the suspects is now deceased, BJS, we may never know the true story as to what happened or if they are deceased, where their bodies are located. And who knows if the person who may have had a hand in their disappearance had told anybody what had happened or kept it just a total secret to themselves, which I don't see why they would tell anybody, unfortunately. But if they did, and if you are that person who knows something, I urge you to come forward with information, because their sister has been waiting 37 years to hear anything about what happened to their sister. And not to mention, their mother has died, and she didn't know what happened to her girls, and that just breaks my heart into pieces. If you or anybody you know has any information on this case, please contact the Norman Police Department at 405-321-1444 or call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-843-5678. Joyce's missing person case number and NamUs is MP 5956, and Yvette's is MP 5955. They have the same agency case number in both for the police department and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Their agency case number is 264-038-329, and their case number for the missing and exploited children is 600777. Luckily, these cases were last modified in NamUs in 2019. So that means that the police department is still searching and still looking for exactly what happened to the girls. And that makes me so happy because, last year they were still coming across their case file at least. And, that might refresh somebody's memory, or it may lead to a new tip. Who knows? But their poor sister is out there still looking and still searching and still trying to find justice for exactly what happened to Yvette and Joyce. And it makes me sick to think that somebody somewhere may know something, but they're just not coming forward. And if the one person that does know something actually had died, albeit BJS or Royal Russell Long, they're both deceased now. So we honestly may never know what happened to these girls. But if somebody does know, I urge you to call the contact numbers that I have given. They will also be written in the description box below. Once again, the girls have been missing since October 2nd, 1983, out of Norman, Oklahoma. Once again, Josephine was born on April 10th, 1967. She is a white female who stands at 5'1" and weighs 128 pounds, with brown hair and blue eyes. Joyce was born on May 10th, 1968, and she is a white female who stands at 5'3" and weighs 116 pounds, with blonde hair and brown eyes. And also remember that Josephine also goes by Yvette. And that was her main name that everybody called her. So if you come across anybody, Yvette Cogburn or Josephine Cogburn, they are, yes, the same person. And just know that she is still missing, and so is her sister Joyce. And they both have their ears pierced. And Yvette has a tattoo on her foot right near her toes of her name, Vet, with a swirl. And it's just sickening that these girls have been missing for over 3 decades, and this case still isn't closed yet. Bring this family some closure, some peace, and some rest for their soul. And come forward if you know anything. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful night.